Yeah. So this book, just a little bit about this book. This book really is, even though I started with like this first chapter where you're talking about how you grew up and stuff, the book it's not like a chronological of your whole life. It's not a autobiography or anything. It's more some of the highlights that I'll hit some of them, that where you learned big lessons, right? And the name of the book, as I mentioned, is Chop That Shit Up. And so this comes from, you are now in where were you? What was your job at this point?
Yeah, so this is Fort Ord, California, my first duty station. I've just gone active duty, and I'm a private. Know nothing about life, the Army.
And you guys are getting an inspection.
Correct. So this is the Army in the 90s where they inspect your rooms every day. You have to clean everything. And our platoon was responsible for the latrine. And remember, this is, shower heads, 6 to 10 shower heads, 10 toilets, sinks, and whatever, open bay. You didn't have your individual bathrooms. And our platoon is responsible for cleaning that common area. It's great.
And it sounds like you're very motivated at this point. Like you're into the game, and you kind of take charge of cleaning the heads, cleaning the bathroom. And you say in the book here, so you go to you're looking at the first sergeant. He's kind of on his way, and in the first stall toilet. You say this: we were staring at the biggest turd I'd ever seen in my life. Whoever deposited this monster needed to see a doctor to get their butthole fixed because it had to be tore up. I can't do this turd justice. It was so big, it was just sitting at the bottom of the toilet bowl, and it could easily touch each side of the rim. It was longer than an M7 bayonet, if that helps.
Yeah, well, I'll help the crew out here.
Pinion, this is yours to fix. My gunner ordered me, as we heard First Sergeant, this is the guy that's coming to inspect you, as we heard First Sergeant slowly progressing from the stairwell to the NCO latrine at the end of the hall. Only the hallway left, and then us. It would take minutes at least to fix this. So you start to flush it, you flush it again, and the turd's not going anywhere. And finally you come up with a plan, which is just lock the stall door from the inside, crawl out from underneath, and you'll talk your way out of it. And so that's exactly what you do. And then here comes the first sergeant. First sergeant was 6'3", broad-shouldered man with an airstrip-style flat-top haircut. He was drafted in the Army during Vietnam and proudly displayed his draft letter on the wall behind his desk. A Huey door gunner in Vietnam, he claimed he had been shot down 3 times during combat. He looked like he could kill you by looking at you. Good morning, First Sergeant. Welcome to our fine dining establishment. So clean you can eat off the floor. My bullshit mode was in full gear this morning. Shut up, Pinion. Get out of my way. Everyone has failed so far, and I don't see you bucking the trend. We were screwed. At ease, I yelled, and everyone inside the latrine snapped to parade rest. This is to indicate respect when an NCO is the senior person entering a room. Carry on, troopers, he commanded under his breath. First Sergeant immediately moved towards the first stall, as was his routine. Why is the door shut? Who thinks it's okay to take a dump during my inspection? Pinch it off and get out of the stall, trooper. First Sergeant, it's empty, I calmly stated over my right shoulder while stationed at the door's entrance. It's broken. What's the matter with it? First Sergeant asked. And here I made a mistake. I had yet to learn that the First Sergeant was responsible for maintenance and work orders for the buildings in our unit. This was about to get ugly. It won't flush, First Sergeant, I hesitantly responded. Open it up, Pinion. Oh no, here we go. I crawled back under the stall wall and glanced at our enemy. He was still there, with a hint of a smile forming. You son of a bitch. If I saw any soldier walking like his butt hurt, I was going to kick it for this. I unlocked the door. As it swung open, I held the door against the stall wall with my back and stood at parade rest with the First Sergeant on my left and the toilet on my right. Holy shit, the First Sergeant screamed as a few soldiers behind him giggled. Roger that, First Sergeant, I said defeatedly. First Sergeant squeezed into the stall next to me at parade rest, and him staring at the most giant shit in the history of soldier turds. He reached over and flushed the handle. Nothing. The big smiling turd refused to move. First Sergeant turned his cold eyes toward me. You know what you have to do, Pinion? No, First Sergeant. First Sergeant held his right hand in front of my face and formed the famous knife hand used by every NCO and drill sergeant during their career, also used in a karate chop. First Sergeant took his hand from my face, turned toward the toilet, and, still looking me dead in the eyes, chopped his hand in the toilet. You have to chop that shit up, he said confidently. The other soldiers in the latrine were gagging or full out laughing now. I was in shock, but still at parade rest, refusing to look at the hand-to-hand combat taking place in the toilet. First Sergeant stared at me the whole time. He finally lifted his hand from the destruction, reached over, and hit the toilet handle. The most beautiful sound of swirling perfection took place, and the itsy-bitsy, chopped into 1,000 pieces turd drained away. The First Sergeant straightened up and stared into my eyes again. Pinion, this is a life lesson here today. During your career, you will hit many obstacles that won't go away on the first try. When that happens, you can give up and walk away, or simply roll up your sleeve and chop that shit up. Understand? Yes, First Sergeant, I replied as First Sergeant wiped his combat-proven hand on my left arm and shoulder. After his hand was clean, First Sergeant winked, left the latrine, and said we had passed the inspection.
I